Hey, this is Brian. Thanks so much for watching Keys Motorsports. If you like our videos, be sure to give us a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe and check us out at keysmotorsports.com. Today, I am super excited for installation, not because we get to install a fresh set of depot LCI taillights, but today, we're installing my carbon fiber trunk. Cue epic B-roll. Now, whenever you're doing a hood or a trunk, it's always a good idea to get a second set of hands, but sometimes you just don't have one available, so I'm gonna show you how you can do this by yourself if you have to. For this project, you're only going to need a handful of tools. It's about 5 or 6 different tools. If you need any of the tools or the products that we're showing you in this video, be sure to check out the description. We have links to everything. For my installation, I need a 12mm. This is how we're going to actually get the trunk off. I need an 8mm. These are specific to the depot lights. If you're just removing your regular BMW OEM, it's probably going to be a 10mm. You need a Phillips head driver. You need a T40, so it's a Torx 40, a trim removal tool, and if you haven't removed your carpeting already, like I have, you're probably also going to need a T25. Now, if you haven't done so already, what you need to do is you need to remove the trunk carpeting. Looks just like this. Basically, you're going to see all these little holes all the way around it, and they're held in by these little push pins. If you're not sure how to take this out, be sure to check out our depot LCI taillight video above. It's going to show you exactly how to remove this. So before the video, what I did is I took off the carpeting and I undid all of my nice, neat taping and zip tying. So it's kind of just a wiry mess right now, but just bear with me as we go through. So let's start by unclipping the light. All right, so once you've unplugged your light, what you want to do is go through and just release these white clips. A lot of times what you can do is you can just pull down on them and they'll just pop right out. So I just have a couple over here still. And we're good to go with that. Now, as you follow the wire harness, you're going to see that there's a couple wires that go up and over. This is going to be your license plate lights, and it's also going to be your trunk handle and also your rear view camera if your car is equipped with one. Now, on some of these, it may be easy to reach up and just disconnect them. Like that's my rear camera. There's my license plate light. Go up here. There's my other license plate light. There we go. And my trunk handle. But if they ever give you trouble, you can always try to like pop these lights out and pop the handle out and then disconnect it. There's no real wrong way to do it. So what we want to do here, I'm going to show you how to do this in just a second. There's a clip on the inside. You press the clip in with your finger and then down. So there's this little notch right there. This slides on the outside and then it clips into place. So if you reach in, you just press this clip in and it'll come right out. So once you've done that, you want to do the same thing on the other side. Now, something to note is they both go the same direction. So they both actually have the tab on the right-hand side. It's not on the insides. They just make it a universal piece. Now what we need to do is we need to remove the factory trunk handle. Now this is an aftermarket one from BeamerTech that we sell and we install. But it's basically going to be the same process. So as you can see around here, there are these little tabs. And basically what you're going to do is reach your hand in, take your nail, push it in there, and then you want to slowly pop this out. So what I like to do is I like to start at one side and then just very carefully work top and bottom all around and unclip it. So with this one, I'm going to start on my driver's side. Again, just work your way top and bottom. Okay. We are just about there. Perfect. There we go. So there's our handle. So as you can see, there's 2 tabs on this side, there's 2 tabs on this side, and then there's 1 tab on the end. Now what we're going to do is we are going to remove the latching mechanism. So take your T40. Just very carefully remove these. Just 2 bolts that hold it in place. Then what you can do is just take this, rock it through, and then just disconnect it and set it to the side. Now, like we were saying before, what we need to do is disconnect the lights. So we'll just disconnect that. Now, if you are just removing it from your factory lights, all you're going to want to do is just remove it from that spot right there. You're not going to have all of these extra wires. Once you've done that, just take your wiring harness, just bend it out of the way. Now you may see a couple cut wires here. These are from the aftermarket depot taillights. We're going to show you what to do with these in a little bit. All right, so as you can see, our trunk is pretty bare right now. The last thing we need to do is we need to remove this. We need to remove this, and then there's going to be 4 bolts to hold the trunk in, and we're ready for the new one. So these are just a Phillips. Just remove these. 1 screw. 2 screw. And that just pops out. Now what we need to do is we need to take our 12mm and we need to loosen this bolt, and then the 2 on the other side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just loosen them with this. And then I have this adapter on my drill that looks just like this. And because I'm doing this with one person, I can put this socket on here and then I can zip them out. And what that's going to do is it's going to make it a lot easier for me to do this job by myself. Now, something else that you'll notice is I do have microfiber towels taped to my rear windshield. Again, it's just for an extra measure of safety to make sure the trunk isn't going to make contact with the glass. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out the bottom bolts. Okay, there's 1. Okay, there's 2. Okay, that one's loose and that one's loose. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to rock it down. Okay, just like that. Okay, pull this out of the way. Now I don't have my scale in the shop today, but I would say this is probably like, I don't know, maybe 40 pounds or so. And this one is so light. It's probably like 22 pounds, super light. So definitely gonna get a lot of weight savings with this, and it looks incredible. Now with your new trunk, it does come with new supplied hardware. Basically it's just these bolts and these little washers. And if you compare them to the OEM, you'll notice that they are significantly shorter. So I wouldn't recommend using the OEM ones just in case they were to pop through and bust the carbon or anything. So just get these ones ready, just put the washers on, have them ready to go. Go grab 1 bolt for each side. Let's grab our trunk and install it. Okay, make sure you're on the right side. Gotta use this right here. Okay. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna lightly rest this on my microfiber towel. It's actually a really good spot. And because this doesn't weigh all that much, I'm not concerned about it doing anything bad. Now, if I didn't mention so already, these bolts are a 14. The old ones were 13, so make sure you have the right socket before you're holding your trunk over your rear windshield there. So now what you can do is very carefully put these other 2 bolts in. Now, one of the things that you'll notice with the carbon trunk is because it's significantly lighter, your spring tension is going to be way too high right now. So what you can do is you can just do some testing. You can start by putting it at its lowest tension, which it is right now. Now for me, it's actually still, this thing's going to fly up like a rocket. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to remove the spring completely. So when it comes to your spring in your trunk, there's basically 3 settings. There's setting number 3, which is the most tension. There's setting number 2, which is the middle. And then mine was on setting number 1, but it's still way too much. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to carefully remove the spring altogether. Now, a couple minutes ago, I was just checking my spring. This one's actually on its lowest tension, so I have 1 spring on its lowest tension, and I have the other one completely off. With that like that, we can just lower it down and do a test. This is looking really good. Now, something that I'm noticing is the gap over here. I can stick my index finger in, and then on the other side, it's like a quarter of that. So what we're gonna need to do now, this is going to be just a trial and error thing. You loosen the screws, you move it around, you do a test shut, and just keep going until all of your gaps look pretty symmetrical. All right, so here's an example of what it looked like over here. So it's pretty tight, And then, whoa, that's huge. All right, so that gap looks good on this side. Scoot over here. That gap looks about the same. You can see that there's a nice curve right there. We've got some dirt in there. But we go over here, we can see that we have a little misalignment, so I need to pull the entire trunk down on the passenger side. So continue to make these fine adjustments. All right, so once you have it where you like it, just very carefully tighten it down. Remember, you're not tightening it down to metal anymore, so you don't want to go too crazy. Just snug it up so it won't go anywhere. Okay, now we can install the rest of our tail light. Now, once again, for more information on how to install these properly, be sure to check out our other video. We go through step by step, but essentially there's a little groove right here, and there's this little piece right there. This is going to catch in that little groove, and then under this piece of white plastic right here, it's going to squeeze right there. So we're going to slide this over here, and we're going to get this little piece of hooked plastic down in here, and we'll tighten it down with this 8mm. Then what you can do is just very carefully tighten back up that 8mm. Then you can do the exact same thing to the other side. Now what you can do is you can take these big plugs and you can plug your tail light in. Now, if you're using OEM, it's just going to plug right in. If you're using depot, there's going to be a little extra wiring. Then you can do the same thing on the other side. What I'm going to do, because this doesn't have all of the proper holes for the plastic mounts here, I'm just going to route everything up through here, just to try to make this as wire-free as possible. And I'll get this, I'll plug it in just like that. Now what you can do is take the latch, I'm gonna feed it through, just like that, and then secure it with those bolts that it came with. This is another thing that you're gonna have to do some trial and error with. You might need to shimmy it around a little bit to make sure that everything is latching properly. Now, before you do any testing, make sure that you plug your latch system in. This way you can still open it from the button up front or from the key fob button. And also remember, if you disconnected your battery, never shut your trunk with your battery disconnected, because it's very difficult to get back open. All right, so I need to move it up because it's not hitting at the right spot. Okay, I need to shift it a little bit towards the driver's side as well. Now, if it's still giving you trouble after adjusting that, there is one other adjustment point. You just have to take this piece of trim off. There's 4 push pins that hold it in place. You can see one's kind of still stuck. You remove the middle, and then you remove that section. And then what you can see, there's 3 Torx bolts that hold this in place. So what you can do is you can adjust these and make fine adjustments up, down, left, and right. And these bolts are a T30. So I'm just going to carefully loosen these and move it around. I need this to just come up just a little bit. All right, so let's try that. Awesome. Now what we can do is we can route our wires where they go. So I have my rear view camera. I have my license plate bulb. I have my other license plate bulb. Then I have my connection for the handle. So here you can see I have my 4 connections. All right, so now that we're here, what we can do is we can start with the handle. So we'll clip that in. We'll clip this little connection over here. We'll clip everything into place. Awesome. That sits perfect. So now what we can do is we can reinstall our lights. Now what I had to do is I had to take off that little piece of metal and I had to shave the plastic down a little bit. Because of the carbon's thickness, it's just a little too thick for me to actually slide it on and pop it in. So I just put some 3M tape. So we'll clip this in here. And I'll just press it and we'll just stick it on. It's not one of those things that ever has to come off, so. But if I ever had to, it's removable. Okay, that one's pretty good. I'll hold that on for just a minute longer after I get this one in. And just remember, there's a side that has a little bit of a slit. The slit goes towards the driver's side. Okay, so I'm just gonna hold these on, make sure that they set nice and good. All right, so let's do a little bit of a progress. We did some test fitting. Everything locks and latches. The springs aren't too much. And we have our 2 lights and our camera fully installed. All right, home stretch. Now we just need to install our license plate bracket. So to do that, there are these little square cutouts, and typically you can get these little square plug things. And basically what you do is you just press them in, and then you can get a screw and you can screw right into it and it stays in place. The only problem is whenever you're dealing with carbon fiber, a lot of times carbon is handmade, so the holes are just a little bit too big. I don't really want to make the hole any bigger, and I don't want to cut my finger off trying to make this any smaller. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get this. We're going to play it safe. I'm going to put it up here. I'm going to put the screw through the top, then through the hole, and then I'm just going to use it as a nut on the back of the carbon. So this way, I'm not risking damaging anything. Okay. Actually, this might be a better fit too. Oh, that works great. All right, do the same thing on the other side. And I'm gonna link all of this below. I got this just on Amazon, this license plate bracket, and it came with a little Torx bit for the screws and everything. All right, cool. Check it out. Now what we can do, we're gonna install our BMW emblem. Okay, so with this, there are 2 holes in the trunk, and then there's 2 little pins here. What I like to do is just put a little dab of silicone. Don't go crazy, just don't want any water in here. So just a little dab there, and a little dab here. And it shouldn't fall out if you don't do this, but I like to just make sure that it's completely tight. I'm never gonna take this emblem out, even if I was to sell the trunk or something like that down the line. So, doesn't hurt to do it. All right, and there you have it. One thing to note is these didn't really do anything for me, so I just took them out, and here's what my trunk looks like now. I need to go back and just tidy up some of these wires a little bit. Boom, look at that. So this is really cool. It's a CSL style, so it's got a little bit more of a lip than normal. And there you have it. Our F30 carbon fiber trunk is fully installed. It looks absolutely incredible. Once again, my name is Brian. Thank you so much for watching Keys Motorsports. If you are interested in products like this, other performance, aesthetics, or retrofits for your BMW, be sure to check us out at Keys Motorsports. Give us a like, make sure to subscribe. Check us out in the next video. Again, my name is Brian. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.